If you look at the story that comes through the book of Genesis, we have, first of all, creation. Genesis chapter 1, chapter 2. God is our creator. We did not come from pond scum. Each one of us were created with purpose. God created us in the image of God. He created us. That means we, by nature, are creators. We know God made everything else, and He's made us with purpose. And then what happened to the world? Why is everything in a mess? In Genesis chapter 3, we had the temptation that comes into play. Temptation was acted upon. Sin entered the world, and because of that, we have sickness and disease and pain, and we have fighting, and we have the very earth itself is under destruction or in decay. It's in a state of decay. You want to know what's going on with the polar ice caps right now? We're in decay. It's scriptural speaking of what's taking place. But also in Genesis chapter 3, God says, okay, that's all right. The world is in decay, but I'm going to send a Savior, Genesis 3:15, that is one day going to rectify, to change, to return things in the proper state of where they should be. Then we've been up and down as we've gone through Genesis, so many lessons. We've seen men try to build their own kingdoms, the Tower of Babel. We see the world get so full of sin that God wipes it off with a flood. We see Noah, we see a repopulation that takes place. And then just we get Abraham, and we're going to spend so much time talking about Abraham. The rest of Genesis is talking about Abraham and Sarah. So as we look at this, we see Abraham, and he's first to Abram, and he's told that he's going to have a child. He's going to be the father of many nations. And he doesn't have that. He doesn't have any children. And then we find out that Sarah's barren. She can't have children. And she decides to take it into her own hands. What does she do? She pushes forth her servant for Abram to have a child with, and he does. And we know that we get a child that comes from there. And God says, that's not my chosen child. And so we have turmoil where Abraham is constantly having to go help Lot, save Lot for Lot's terrible decisions of what's going on. We have Abram that himself doesn't make the right decisions, and twice he lied about his wife being his sister, and he was blessed for it, even though he brought misery into those two kingdoms that he went into. And some would say, well, we found out just a couple of weeks ago it wasn't a lie, because Sarah is half-sister to Abram, but it's the context. He meant wrong intention. And either way you look at it, that's lying. It's deceit. And so we see deceit takes place. All this has been going on, and Abram is still expecting to have this child. I think last week Isaac came. And we see that Isaac comes on the picture in Genesis. And that we see that Abraham, again, we see this promise that is said that he's going to be the father of many nations.